जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी। जय यशोदानंदन जय ब्रज जन रंजन जय ब्रज जन रंजन। जय यशोदानंदन जय ब्रज जन रंजन जय ब्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीरा बनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी। जय यमुना तीरा बनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदानन्दन जय ब्रजजनरञ्जन जय ब्रजजनरञ्जन जय यमुना तीरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय यमुना तीरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद नित्याय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल गौर हरि बोल नित्याय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल गौर हरि बोल जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरिनाम संकीर्तन की
जय।
श्रील प्रभुपाद की
जय।
श्री राधा गोपीनाथ जी भगवान की समस्त गौर भक्त वृंद की ताय गौ प्रेमानंदी
Hare Krishna. A very warm welcome to our esteemed guests, well-wishers, alumni, and each one of you in this very, very special festival of Prerna, where we are celebrating 20th year and 192nd episode of Prerna. Hari Bol. So, this festival has been inspiration to thousands of youth, and it continues its legacy to inspire and transform the lives of youth. It requires a great endeavor to maintain any project you begin. In the beginning, it's very exciting. But as you go ahead maintaining that project, it requires a lot of tolerance, a lot of cooperation, a lot of forces you have to tackle with. So this 20 years of Prerna also went through so many troubles and situations. But by the mercy of the Lord, it continues to inspire so many youth. One IYS boy sent me one couplet, which would like to read for all of you. कलयुग ने तो बहुत कोशिश की इसे रुकाने की, कलयुग ने बहुत कोशिश की इसे रुकाने की, मगर गोपीनाथ जी ने जिम्मेदारी उठा ली है इसे चलाने की. So 2 decades, the festival is going on by the support of so many blessings, so many hands. This festival began with a handful of devotees. This monthly festival has expanded now in its volume. It's expanded to the many temples around the world in various shapes and forms. And so many temples all over the world of ISKCON has replicated this program of Prerna. To help this Indian youth to transform their lives. As Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave this mandate to all Indians, Bharat Bhumite Manushya Janmajar, Janma Sarthaki Kar Parupkar. And Srila Prabhupada, who has taken this message all across the world, inspire thousands or millions of devotees to take up to this mission of Krishna consciousness. The same mission envisioned in this city of Mumbai by His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. And that vision of Radhanath Swami Maharaj, taken by several devotees, starting from His Holiness Bhakti Rasamrit Swami Maharaj and many such devotees who have given shape to this festival of joy and inspiration to inspire youth of India. And one of that personality is amongst us, that he is Gauranga Prabhu. So 20 years back, on 30th of July 2002, the first Prerna festival took place. And that time we had a fortune of having His Grace Gauranga Prabhu. And after 20 years, even after 2 decades, we have His presence. And continuing this 20 years was not possible by His support. He is a backbone of this endeavor. So I would like to give a brief introduction about his personality. He is graduate from IIT Mumbai, and he took up this service of serving the society, being a monk. He gave his calling to serve the society in the form of a monk. So he is a member of ISKCON's highest body, which manages all over the world, Governing Body Commission. He is a member of that commission. He is actively involved in enhancing leadership effectiveness and governance of temples and communities. He is a multifaceted personality on a mission to create a value-based society. He is also a director of Govardhan Eco Village, which has been founded by His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. And this project has won prestigious national and international awards. And one of that award, which has been awarded to this project, Govardhan Eco Village, in 2017 by United Nations of World. So on behalf of ISKCON, he also represents as a counselor in one of the United Nations program, that is Faith for Earth. Indian Green Building Council, which is also known as IGBC, has recognized him as an IGBC fellow for his contribution to green building movement. He is a board member of Govardhan School of Public Leadership, which helps students to prepare in civil examinations. He is also has taken up administrative directorship of Bhaktivedanta Research Center, which is also known as BRC. His youth empowerment initiative, which has encouraged thousands of youth with the mantra of bringing clarity in purpose, purity in character, and compassion in relationship. His expertise in presenting India's valuable asset of Vedic knowledge has brought him to many prestigious platforms like TEDx, corporates like Google and Intel. And he's been invited to so many places to deliver this Vedic knowledge. And he is also an expert chef. And he has cooked till now 3 millions of meals. Haribo. And one of this initiative which Govardhan Eco Village has started is Annakshetra. And the aim of this initiative is to make Palghar district hunger free. So he's actively involved in so many services, but he has taken out his time today to give us guidance and show us the path to light. So we'd like to welcome His Grace Gauranga Prabhu in our traditional way by loudly chanting, Haribo! Haribo! Haribo!
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. So thank you very much, Satyananda Prabhu, for your kind words of introduction, and my heartfelt gratitude to the organizing team, IYS, Mumbai, Chopati. All of you have put in a lot of effort to maintain the enthusiasm of youth preaching. As the last 2 years was very challenging and it became very difficult to connect with the youth physically offline because everything was going on online. And in online, you really don't know what's going on. When I would give online lectures, I would only be seeing like a black screen, like a black hole. And you don't know whether people are hearing or not hearing, or sleeping or snoring or doing what. So we are very happy that after a very prolonged period of uncertainty, Krishna has again allowed us to assemble in his beautiful divine temple, which has been created, designed by His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj with great effort, just so that there can be a comfortable ambience for us to sit and hear and chant Krishna's glories. After all the reconstruction was done and all the beautiful marble and the woodwork and everything was done, the chandeliers, even the colors of these, the ceiling was curated by a designer from Italy, Matsyavatara Prabhu. After that, to end it all, because all of us were waiting when the construction would end. And then finally, Maharaj said that we should have air conditioning in the temple hall. This was like 2005. And that was a little too much for me, because I told him that I've never seen any temple in India air conditioned. So Maharaj said, so what? This will be the first. But I said, what is the need? He says, oh, devotees are coming from far and wide. They are tired traveling in the local trains. So when they come here, the air conditioning will be very comfortable ambience for them to sit and hear. And I was thinking it may be too comfortable, they will bring pillows also. But he was very insistent, and what you experience today is the ambience which has been curated by him, thought about by him, so that we can come together, hear and chant the glories of Krishna. So at the beginning, I would like to express my gratitude to His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj for being the inspirational force not only behind the ISKCON Chowpatty temple, but especially the IYS, the ISKCON Youth Services. And because of his constant encouragement and his constant guidance, the entire youth preaching has expanded, not only in Chowpatty, but also through Radheshyam Prabhu in Pune, in different parts of India. And now Radheshyam Prabhu is traveling in different parts of the world, and especially he's trying to establish voices or bases in Boston to now bring the youth preaching revolution in North America. So today I'll speak briefly on the art of focus. So many of you may wonder that as students, you're already quite focused in your studies. Some of you may be, from prestigious educational institutions. And some of you may be very successful entrepreneurs. Your generation is the generation of startups. You ask anybody in our generation, they would ask in the last year of college, what you want to do? बोले कोई नौकरी मिल जाए, भगवान की कृपा है. In your generation, भाई कोई investor मिल जाए. So things have changed in 20 years. But the focus which Bhagavad Gita speaks about is a little different. Because the Gita was spoken by Krishna to whom? Arjuna. And Arjuna is amongst the most focused personalities you can ever find. Because he could take an arrow, place it on the bow, look at the reflection of the eye of a fish in the water below, and then shoot through the eye with that arrow. So what kind of focus he had, you can imagine. He was one of Dronacharya's most favorite disciples in archery. So if Krishna is speaking the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, It is not to make Arjuna more focused in archery. It is not to make Arjuna more focused in his skills. But all of us experience fear in our life. How many of you experience fear and anxiety? Okay. Previously, in this hall, next to these paintings, there used to be, coaching classes. And 11th and 12th, 10th, 11th, 12th standard students used to come for the coaching classes. And I used to observe that in the month of February and March, just before exam, the number of those students entering the temple would increase. Their prayer was very seasonal. So naturally, it indicates this, there is some fear. So many times people, when they go to a hospital, they know why they are going. To overcome disease, cope with the pain of disease. When you see a bank or you see an ATM machine, you know why it exists. You look at a movie theater, you know why it exists. You look at a mall, you know why it exists. Everyone is on the same page on why it exists. But when you look at a temple, each one has a different idea why the temple exists. So the Bhagavad Gita explains in no uncertain terms that in India, if 2 million temples exist today, they exist as hospitals for the mind to help us cope with one pain. The pain of change. So the greatest cause of fear is change. And the Bhagavad Gita helps us refocus our mind and energies in such a way that we are able to focus on something that does not change, so that we remain unaffected by the change. That thing which does not change is known as the soul, spirit, the super soul, and the relationship between the soul and super soul, which is that of bhakti. And so Krishna spoke the Gita to Arjuna to establish the most important principle, that knowledge means understanding spirit, which does not change, understanding matter, which is undergoing constant change, and the controller of both, Ishwar, the Supreme. So that's the whole idea of why the Gita was spoken, to help Arjuna cope with the change which he was experiencing in front of his eyes in the form of Bhishma and Drona. And that change of having to fight his own grandfather and his own teacher paralyzed Arjuna completely. And so, all of us have to cope with changes. But our modern education system is actually preparing us to cope with changes, or to enable changes, or to facilitate changes, to increase our prosperity and minimize our adversity. We are trying to increase our prosperity and minimize our adversity. That we consider as success in life. But the Gita is presenting an alternative principle, that as far as prosperity and adversity is concerned, they will continue. Rather than focusing on increasing prosperity and minimizing adversity. And if in the material world one is able to focus and accomplish that in the material world, that is described as success. But the Gita is offering an alternative paradigm. Don't focus on increasing prosperity and decreasing adversity. Do the needful and perform your duty, and Krishna says, Karmanyavadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. But focus on being a servant and serving the supreme will in all circumstances. And that is the theme for our discussion this evening. And so the Srimad Bhagavatam explains that the modern education system and the material world is preparing us to increase our prosperity with respect to our relationship with 8 things. Depending on how we curate our relationship with these 8, that is considered to be success. And so our careers are all centered around how we can perfect our relationship, enhance our relationship, increase the experience of our relationship with each of these 8. What are these 8? And how our focus should not be on these 8, but on that which is beyond these 8, which is the spirit. Atmajaya sutagara pashudravina bandhushu rajye cha vikale nityam virudham mamatam jahu. Bhagavatam describes the first of these 8 is Atma or body. This body is subject to constant change. One of our priorities in life is always to maintain this body healthy and disease-free. And any change which happens with respect to the body creates anxiety. A visit to the doctor is always ridden with anxiety. A medical test reports which comes from the doctor, it may indicate some change. And therefore that creates anxiety. Idam shariram parinama peshalam patatyavashyam shata sandhi jarjaram. King Kulashekar describes that this body is subjected to destruction and decay. Parinama peshalam, constant change. Patati avashyam, it will definitely get destroyed. Shata sandhi jarjaram, and it will go through old age and disease. And that's the fact. I was, taking a tour of the campus in MIT in US. And there I found one poster which showed volunteers needed for being part of an experiment on working on a new sleep-inducing drug. They wanted the people who would volunteer to come at 9 p.m., sleep in the lab. They would put machines on them to monitor. And then they have to wake up at 6 in the morning. If they do that 5 days a week, they were willing to give them almost $4,000 to $5,000 just for sleeping. And then I looked at, the person who was taking me around. I said, wow, that's a very exciting offer. But he said, you know what? The problem is not a single person has turned up so far. That's why the poster is still there. I said, really? Why? Because that's the time the party begins. Nobody wants to sleep. And then I came to know that after a few weeks, one student from Mumbai who had gone on an education loan. He saw that. He said, wow, this is an exciting offer. This will really help me like anything. If you want, I can sleep 2-3 hours extra. But one of the biggest industries today is the pharma industry. And one of the largest investments in pharma industry is in antidepressants and sleep-inducing drugs. We have lost control over the body. Night is meant for sleeping. People seem to be needing to be reminded about that. I was in a flight to London, and this is like more than 10 years ago, almost 15, 16 years ago. And then there was this other guy who was taking an international flight for the first time, so they started serving liquor. And then he asked the air hostess, how much I have to pay? She said, no, it's free. So he just heard free. And that word does something to people. So he started drinking like he has never seen it before. And then he went out of control in his behavior. So what was happening was, in the morning, I was chanting on my beads before this incident, and there was an old lady sitting behind me. And she was complaining to me, Swamiji, dheere. जप अपने लिए करो, मेरे लिए नहीं. So I tried to chant as quietly as possible. Then when this guy started shouting and screaming, she again tapped me and said, Swamiji, mantra se usko control karo. I said, Are Mataji, this mantra is for controlling myself and my own mind and my own senses. And when the mind and senses are not under control, the body goes out of control. Somebody was challenging Srila Prabhupada and said, we heard when Lord Ram was in the forest, he was eating meat. Prabhupada said, I don't know about that, but Lord Ram is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He can eat the whole universe, including you. So don't look for justification for enjoying the senses and killing the body with various substances which are extremely harmful for the body. I was in a program doing kirtan. There was some gentleman sitting right in front, and he was not clapping only in the kirtan. And I was singing and saying, Tali bajaiye. When you clap the hands, all the sins go away. Sare paap dhul jayenge. But it didn't have any effect on him. He just, continued tapping his fingers. After the lecture, after the prasad, when I went out, I saw he was standing in one corner with tobacco in his hand and clapping loudly. So I said, Arey, I told you to chant during kirtan, tab to tali nahi baji. Tambaku aaya to itni जोर से बजी. He said, Prabhu, ये तंबाकू नहीं है. I said, अरे क्या है फिर? बोले संजीवनी बूटी है. I said, who told you? And when my grandfather was teaching me Ramayana, he used to do this in between. When I asked him, he said, this is the Sanjeevani which Hanumanji brought all the way from Himalaya. और इसको सूंघ कर लक्ष्मण को झटका लगा. So in India, there is a special flavor of additional commentaries on various things. So it's very important to know that this body is subjected to constant change. And this change cannot be reversed or stopped by us at any point. Therefore, many people ask, Should we be vegetarians? Many times when we invite people for program, they refuse. बोले नहीं नहीं. Why? बोले नहीं नहीं. But what is your problem? Habits change हो जाएगा. I was giving one laddu to one IOS boy many years ago. He was in a college program. He refused. No, 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 no. I said, अरे प्रसाद है. No, 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 no. पागल है क्या? You are refusing prasad? Why you are refusing prasad? He said, मुझे डर लगता है इसको खाऊंगा मेरा भी हेयर स्टाइल आपके जैसा हो जाएगा. So when youth tell the parents, I'm going to some temple, they have no problem. When they say, I'm coming to ISKCON temple, they say, अरे बेटा बच के रहना. यद गत्वा न निवर्तन्ते. Habits change. So when people say, should I be vegetarian, non-vegetarian or this or that, I say, let's not focus on that. Focus on what's your purpose and objective. The diet of a boxer cannot be same as the diet of a gymnast. Both have a different diet. Why? Their objective is different. Similarly, if your objective is to control your mind and senses and elevate yourself to the spiritual world after death, then your diet has to be something which is recommended for that. So therefore, if controlling your mind is not a priority, if controlling your senses is not a priority, if conquering over the problem of death is not a priority, then there is no need to worry about diet and stuff like that. But one who helps you make more money in your business is a business coach. One who helps you balance the anxiety you get while making money along with your other life's responsibilities is a life coach. But one who helps you balance your life in such a way that at the moment of death, you are able to think of Krishna and go to the spiritual world, he is actually a spiritual guru. And we invite all those who are interested in conquering over death, in making a solution to the problem of birth, old age, disease, and death, into the study and practice of Bhagavad Gita. And those who are interested, they have to make changes and adjustments to ultimately attain that objective. That's why there is a focus on making changes in one's lifestyle, including following 4 regulatory principles. No meat eating. No meat eating. No intoxication, including any kind of liquor, any kind of tobacco, any other kind of intoxicating substances. I was in a train one time, and right in front of me, there was a student who was sitting there. He had a t-shirt on, and on the t-shirt, right in front, it was written, "Save water." So I had just started getting involved in the Govardhan Eco Village and was dealing with many sustainability principles. And I became very happy that, there is a highly sustainability conscious youth. Maybe I should talk to him. Save water. Then suddenly his station came, he got up and he turned around, and on the back it was written, "Drink beer." So when the temptations come, are we able to control them? In the initial years, some devotees approached Prabhupada and said, "Srila Prabhupada, you want us to do book distribution? There is an excellent place we found, which opens at 9 at night and closes at 5 in the morning. It's a nightclub. It's a great place for book distribution. Please give your blessing so that we can go and distribute books there. Prabhupada said, you can go there, but make sure you come back also. So, the defining principle for changing your habit is your association. And that's why we commend the services of ISKCON Youth Service IYS, because they are providing you the single biggest opportunity in life to transform your attitudes, to transform your opinions, to transform your desires, to transform your habits, and develop single-minded focus in accomplishing the greatest success of your life, conquering over birth and death, by providing this most privileged luxury, association of devotees. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada, he created the International Society for Krishna Consciousness for that association. In the initial years, when he came to Kolkata, he took his devotees to different houses as part of cultivating those families, making them life members and things like that. And these were all American disciples. They had come to India for the first time. So in India, typically when someone comes to the home for food, then you serve them, please have more, please have more. So these devotees would tell, no, 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 bus. But they did not know that in India, just saying bus doesn't matter. Although they would say enough, but they would say, nay, nay, some more. So they could not understand that I am saying no, they are still, because you have to put your hand like this, take the plate back, it's all part of the Leela. But they were not kind of culturally adapted to that. So they would say, want some more? No. And then they will put. What's this? I just said no. Is there a different language I must use? So when they put, so they ate. And they overate. And one devotee came to the temple and he was having his hand on the stomach and shouting, Prabhupada, my stomach is aching. Prabhupada said, naturally, you had 25 puris. He says, Prabhupada, how do you know? Prabhupada said, I was counting. Then another brahmachari started laughing. Prabhupada said, you don't laugh, you had 16. So Prabhupada said, we are going to all these places to give them association, to transform them. And as part of hospitality, they may offer a lot of things. It is not compulsory you have to eat everything. So therefore, dadati pratigrihnati guhyamakhyati prichyati bhungte bhojeti. These 6 exchanges, loving exchanges, are very crucial. So the purpose of any temple is to create transformation of heart. That transformation is enabled through association. That association happens through 6 loving exchanges, which is giving your association, accepting your association, or giving gifts and receiving gifts. Guhyamakhyati prichyati, speaking in confidence, hearing in confidence. Bhungte bhojete, giving prasad and accepting prasad. And when you have these 6 exchanges, then association is established. Through that association, transformation begins. And therefore, the first change which we are always trying to resist is any change with respect to the body. It creates anxiety. We are always looking at prosperity with respect to our body, being healthy, being fit, being fine, being young, being robust, being energetic, and we try to avoid adversity with respect to the body growing old and diseased and losing energy and all of these things. But the art of focus is in spite of the body either being healthy or sick or diseased, we focus on the soul within the body, that it should remain serving the Supreme Soul Krishna in any situation. Because there is a retirement age for sense gratification, but there is no retirement age for service. And so Kaviraj Goswami says, Ami Briddha Jaratur Likhite ka paekor मन किच्छु स्मरणे न होय न देखिए नयने न सुनिए श्रवणे तब लिखी ए बड़ विस्मय. Kaviraj Goswami says, Ami Briddha, I am very old. Jaratur, I am overwhelmed by old age. Likhite, as I am writing, Kapayakar, my hands are trembling. Mana kichu smarane na hoy. My mind is not able to remember anything. Na dekhiye nayane, with my eyes I am not able to see. Na shuniye shravane, I am not able to hear. Tabu likhi, still I am not focused on the pleasure and pain of my body. I am not allowing the changes created by my body to distract me. And therefore, from the perspective of Bhagavad Gita, from the philosophical perspective, from the Vedic perspective, what is the definition of distraction? Distraction means to constantly calculate your prosperity and avoiding of adversity. When you are calculating how to increase my prosperity and avoid adversity, that technically is distraction from the Gita's perspective. From the Gita's perspective, focus is how the soul can be engaged in its original duty of serving the Supreme Lord in all circumstances. Etavat janma safalyam dehinam iha dehishu pranirarthair dhiya vacha Shreya Acharanam Sada. Krishna is traveling with his cowherd boyfriends in the forests of Vrindavan. He shows the trees to his cowherd boyfriends and says, look at the glory of these trees. The cowherd boys look at the trees and think, we look at trees every day. We never thought they are glorious. And Krishna says, if anybody asks me, who is your role model? What is the idea of success you carry, Krishna, in your heart? What is your benchmark of success? Krishna points towards the trees and says, these are my heroes. They are exemplifying the paradigm of success in human form of life. Wow, never thought about that. No one ever told us, join this college and become like trees. So what is that the trees do which attracts Krishna's attention? Pashyadaitan mahabhagan Parasyaikanта jivitan Vatavarsha atapahiman Sahanto varayantina. Pointing to the trees, Krishna says, see the power of these trees. They are such great souls. Why? They are living for others. They are living only to serve others selflessly. Accept all kinds of inconveniences and protect others. This, Krishna says, is Janma Safalyam, which is success of life. What is that? Pranirarthair dhiya vacha Shreya Acharanam Sada. How you can serve others with your pranair, life and soul, arthair, wealth, dhiya, intelligence, vacha, words. If you are able to serve with selflessness, without selfish considerations, engaging your soul in the service of the Supreme Soul, remain focused in the midst of changes with respect to the body. That is the art of focus. That is Atma. Then the second principle with whom we want to establish a relationship in the material realm is Jaya. Jaya means the family members, wife or the husband. To develop a relationship of perfection. So again, let me be very, let me clarify again. This is not meaning that we neglect. We take care. We do our best. We be dutiful, but remain detached. Because in spite of all of our efforts, things may not always work as per our plan. Because we always do not have control over the consequences and the circumstances. And so, in the 10th canto, Yashoda Mai, when she sees the universe within Krishna's mouth, she becomes bewildered and she says, Aham mamasau patiresha me suto brajeshwarasya khila vittapasati. She says, I have been thinking that I am the controller of all the cowherd boys and girls. I am the wife of Nanda Maharaj, which gives me and grants me the privilege of being the queen of Gokul. But I realize that no, I am simply an insignificant part and parcel of the Supreme. I do not have control over this situation. And so when people come for darshan in the temple, they are always seeking blessings. And typically, subtly, the idea is, may the family life continue forever. And may things always continue the way we always want it to be, without any discrepancies and difficulties. But the point is, old age, disease, and death is invariable. It is compulsory. It cannot be stopped. There was a man who was living with his mother, and he had a cat also. And he was very comfortable in that cozy family atmosphere. He went to another country and he told his friend, keep reporting to me, how are things at home? Through letters. So when this man went abroad, his friend wrote him a letter. After 10-15 days, he got a letter. Dear friend, sorry to say, your cat is dead. This man became very upset. He wrote back a letter to him. Dear friend, this is not the way to break bad news. This is heartless. You should be sensitive. You should have written the first letter. In that letter, you should have written, dear friend, your cat is doing very well. Sometimes the cat walks on the roof of the house. End the letter. After 15 days, send another letter. Dear friend, when the cat was walking on the roof, the cat fell off the roof. The cat is injured. We are trying to save. End the letter. Then, after 1 month, send another letter. Dear friend, sorry to say, we tried our best. We were chanting. We were doing everything to save that cat, but ultimately we could not save. And the cat has now ascended to heaven. This is the way to share or break bad news. not that cat is dead. Few months later, he received a letter from the friend. My dear friend, your mother is doing well. Sometimes she walks on the roof. Whichever way you approach, the fact is Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. And the relationship in this world ultimately are transient and cannot remain permanent. And therefore, as all of you are youth, more than any time before, thanks to social media and internet and this and that, there is severe bombardment on your mind and the senses that you have to get into a relationship. And if you're not in a relationship, there is some problem. And therefore, traditionally, people would get married and settle down and take responsibility. But today, the culture seems to be more in the direction of get into a relationship for some enjoyment and forget the responsibility part. But actually, in the 11th canto, Pingala, who's a prostitute, her entire life was focused on enjoying with different paramours. And then she gets realization of Krishna. And she prays, Santam Samipe Ramanam Rati Pradam Vitta Pradam Nityam Imam Vihaya Akamadam Dukha Bhayadi Shokam Moha Pradam Tuchamaham Bhajegya. The Supreme Lord is right there within to develop a relationship. But I was looking for newer and newer transient relationships for my own selfish sense gratification. And as a result, all I got was dukkha, bhaya, and shoka. It's not worth it. One man decided to visit his friend, was a doctor in mental asylum. He thought it will be an interesting experience because I've never been to a mental asylum where, people have certain issues are kept, and he's a doctor, so let me have a look. So when he went to his friend who was a doctor in the mental asylum, the doctor said, okay, you've come for the first time here, let me take you for a tour. And then he was showing different people who were claiming to be different. Somebody was claiming to be Prime Minister, somebody was claiming to be Mr. Universe. And then as he kept showing his friend that, this is what I have to deal with. This is my life. So suddenly, the visitor, he saw on top of a fan, somebody was hanging on the fan, embracing the fan and shouting, Rupa, Rupa, Rupa. He said, hey, what is that? So the doctor said, this guy, he fell in love with this, girl called Rupa, and, at some point, she left him and, went with someone else. He was her fan, and so when she left her, he came on the fan. So what can be done? Said, oh, wow, very sad to hear. Went ahead, and after a few rooms, again, came to a place where there was another man sitting on the fan. And he was also shouting, Rupa, Rupa, Rupa. He said, what is this? The doctor said, this is the person with whom Rupa ran away. So if you feel that any temporary relationship based on irresponsibility and selfish enjoyment can give pleasure, very clearly it is described that for every item you order in the restaurant, you may enter the Govindas and say, pizza lao. Ek aur pizza. paneer ki sabji. Right? All of it comes. You eat. After that, what will come? And then when the bill comes, ये क्या है? ये वो जो अंदर गया. For every experience, you have to pay the price. And therefore, Bhagavad Gita is not a book of commandments, it is a book of choices. So the ISKCON Youth Service for 20 years in Chopati has been helping the youth with the right intelligence, with the right intention, with the right inspiration, with the right integrity, with the right intensity, to create the best impact in their life. And that is why we have been existing to serve all of you for the last 20 years. The third principle of material life is after body and family is children. And with respect to children, I mean, at this stage, you may be unmarried or whatever, but at some point, a lot of anxiety with respect to their health, their education. When we were growing up, our parents were in anxiety. And therefore, it is part of that. And one of the greatest causes of anxiety with respect to children is their education and studies, which is quite common. And then more anxiety than, one person's result is how are others faring, and the sense of comparison. So, with respect to children, we should know, however much you may try, they also coming with a certain set of karmas. And you have to acknowledge that. The best we can do is provide the right ambience, do your duties responsibly to give them the best within your means. But ultimately, the children have to make their choices. And we cannot impose our dreams and ambitions on them beyond their capacity and ability to handle. I tell the story of a friend of mine who went to a conference, and he got a business card, and in that it was written, under his name was his educational qualification, PhD BF. He said, what is that? He said, PhD but fail. He said, my God, what kind of qualification is this? He said, I never wanted to be PhD. My father wanted me to be. I said, why? Because one of my cousins is a PhD. And then one of our other neighbors is a PhD. And one of my other classmates was registering for a PhD. So he said, you should also be PhD. After 2 years of being in PhD, I realized that here, PhD is not there. Prabhupada would quote a Bengali saying, Kapale naiko ghi, thak thakale hoibe ki. Which means, if you get a bowl, empty bowl, and you keep a spoon in that steel bowl, and you keep just doing thak 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 thak, just by doing thak 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 thak, ghee will not manifest inside. Ghee will not manifest inside that bowl. So kapale means in your bhagya or in your destiny, if ghee is not there, thak thakale hoibe ki. So he said, I realized that this is beyond my capacity to get a PhD. So I dropped out. But then, everybody said you should attend business conferences and these conferences and that. So have to have a business card. So made a business card honestly. with PhD adding BF. But most people, when they look at BF, they think it is a degree beyond PhD. And they never ask. So therefore, yes, with respect to changes which happen with plans for our children, they may change. But we cannot become discouraged and hopeless and continue doing what we can to support that. And so, when Raghunath Das Goswami, he went to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, Rakshake rahata mui ke mane chutiba, ke mane prabhuru sange nilachal jaba. My dear Lord, I want to leave everything and come with you. Lord Chaitanya said, no. Sthire hoiya, ghare jao, nahao batul, krame krame pailoka, bhava sindhukul. Be steady. Be dutiful. Do not be mad. Do not be agitated and restless. Krame krame. In due course of time, everything will happen. Be patient and follow the process. And what is the process? Lord Chaitanya says, Antare nishtha kara bahya loka vyavahar ochire karibe Krishna tomara uddhar. Have faith in the Lord within. Remember the Lord within, but continue putting your effort outside. Because sometimes you may put your best effort. In spite of putting your best effort and making all the plans, still result may not come as what you have expected. How many of you have experienced this? Right? We were in a yatra in Mayapur many years ago, 2009. And we had just started cooking a year before in Vrindavan, our own cooking team and everything. We were just new. But then, in Prasadam, there is always feedbacks. And devotees after 3-4 days started telling me, Are, every day you are giving in breakfast poha, upma, upma, poha, poha, upma. Patla poha, jada poha. Upma this, upma that. We are all come from Bombay. Thoda pav bhaji khilao. I said, pav bhaji, we are in Mayapur and in middle of Bengal. And 3,000-4,000 devotees, how it's possible? Are Prabhu, aap kuch bhi kar sakte ho. So that trapped me. I said, yeah. So I immediately started making arrangements and sent one devotee to Kolkata to get the pav from Calcutta, from the Govindas there. And, the cooking has to start early in the morning. So previous night he was getting the pav from Kolkata. Night he was traveling. 4 o'clock in the morning before entering kitchen, I called him to figure out everything okay, because bhaji I have to start cooking. So I asked him, everything okay? Where are you? So actually that night was Kali Puja and he got trapped in a traffic jam. And he was actually 1.5 hours beyond where he was supposed to be. So when I asked him everything okay, he gave the standard response. Bas Prabhu, pahunch hi raha hu. I said, should I start cooking? Are, go ahead. Krishna is in control. He did not reveal. And that time GPS and this and that was not there. So I started cooking, finished everything, and at 7 o'clock sharp, Prasadam counter was ready. 8 counters were set, only bhaji everywhere. The guy had still not come. And, people may be delayed for lecture, but for Prasadam, it's usually like 15 minutes before time. So the people started queuing up, and the line went beyond the gate. And it was a scary sight for kitchen in charge to see that. And I locked myself inside the kitchen. And some of the people, who always are proactive to find out what's going on, entered. Bole, kya chal raha hai? So I said, kya hai? Menu mein kya hai? I said, bread and jam. I said, huh? Kya jam? Bole, traffic jam. So if you don't have any solution, you have to engage them in entertainment. So then, we didn't know when he was coming, so I was desperately trying to call him. So in India, the second SOP when things don't work is the person switches off mobile. So we don't know where he is. And people are standing in that line, and some of them were commenting, "दो पाँव पर खड़े हैं, एक पाँव नहीं मिल रहा है." And when the guy actually came, he was not too late, only half an hour late. 7:30. But that half an hour, when there is a line of thousands of devotees with hungry stomachs and angry eyes, when they are in that mood, half an hour seems like a full yuga. And when the vehicle came at the gate, they could not take the turn because of the line. And this guy rolled the window down and said, "Ye line kya hai?" And the guy standing there with bead bag in hand said, "Suna hai Kolkata se pav aa raha hai." And this guy got so bewildered by hearing the tone of that voice, he thought, "Abhi andar jaunga to pitunga." So he told the driver, "मैं थोड़ा गंगा स्नान करने जा रहा हूँ." And he ran away from there. So people started really criticizing me later and said, "Arey, what is this? You take whimsical decisions and this and that. Kya jarurat tha? Poha upma safe tha." So that is the time when you start thinking, oh, where we went wrong. Everything was planned. This was planned, but still gali khaya. So therefore, we have control over our consciousness. We do not have control over our circumstances. We have limited control over our circumstances, unlimited control over our consciousness. So you may be wealthy, highly educated, put your kids in the best school and do this and that and everything. But still you should always know Krishna is in control. And therefore, you focus on doing your duty diligently. In the midst of prosperity or adversity. Sutta. Fourth, agara, which means house. With respect to the house also, people are always planning, contemplating when we will have our house, and once you get the house, to maintain the house, retain the house, keep the house in possession. If you have 2 BHK, then 3 BHK, 4 BHK. So constant calculation with respect to prosperity and adversity. Therefore, Krishna puts Yudhishthir and the Pandavas in Mahabharata in situation where at one time they were controlling Indraprastha, which was more opulent than Indraloka. Next moment, they are in the forest, without their house, without their possession, without their palace. But then, in the forest, Yudhishthir and Bhim and Arjun and Nakul and Sahadev were not sitting and thinking, "Hey, palace chala gaya. Oh, I have to sleep under the tree. Pankha bhi nahi hai." In the forest, They were not focused on the loss of the house. They were focused on the gain we have in being given the opportunity to remember Krishna and be grateful to Krishna. Ghare Krishna bhaji more kora ashirmade nilachale asi jena tomara prasade. Lord Chaitanya tells Sarabham Bhattacharya, I am going to South India, give your blessings so that I can come back. Sannyasi is seeking blessings of Grihastha. Why? Lord Chaitanya says, you are worshipping Krishna at home sincerely. So whatever may happen with respect to your home, the important thing is never forget, minimize your worship of Krishna. Because the home belongs to him. And therefore Brahmaji prays, glorifying the Brajavasis. Tavat ragadayaste naha tavat kara griham griham tavat mohongri nigado yavat krishna nate janaha. There are no sannyasis in Vrindavan. There are no renunciants in saffron in Vrindavan. What makes Vrindavan so worshipable, so glorious among 650,000 villages in India? All residents, although in their homes, they are accepting Krishna as the center of their home. They are moving around all their plans within their home as per Krishna's plan and desire. They are willing to dance in reciprocation with Krishna's will. And that is the rasa dance, where you are willing to change your plans and desires in reciprocation with Krishna's plans. And therefore, this basically is known as agara. So Brahmaji says, if you are not keeping Krishna in the center, ragadayastenaha, all your attachments steal away your consciousness. Tavat kara griham griham. And if you are not conscious of Krishna in your home, that griham, your home becomes kara griham. Kara griham is not ghar with a car. Kara griham is jail. It binds you. Tavat mohongri nigado, and you are shackled by the illusion that I am the controller and enjoyer. And that is known as Maya. Prabhupada was on a morning walk. The devotees looked at the ocean as they were walking and commented to Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, the ocean looks so beautiful. Prabhupada said, yes, from a distance. If you go close, the ocean will trap you and drown you. And Prabhupada said, Maya is also like that. Looks beautiful from a distance. You go close, it will trap you. We were in a yatra in Jagannath Puri. The ocean waves are very tempestuous, stormy. And Radhanath Maharaj was swimming and swimming and he was not coming out. The servant went in and said, Maharaj, everybody is waiting, you're not coming out. He said, Maharaj said, the ocean waves have taken away my gamcha. So how will I come out? Devotees are standing with, mobile phones and cameras. So he went in and gave the gamcha and he came out. And after coming out, Maharaj said, when I entered the ocean, I entered as a Gaudiya sannyasi, I would have come out as a Naga Baba. Then he said, make an announcement. Ocean is in a very bad stormy state, do not enter to swim. So we made the announcement. One devotee, against the announcement, went in spite of warning. And what was his logic? I am an expert swimmer. What ocean will do? I am beyond all these announcements. Announcement is for all of you. So expertise creates pride, and that pride creates overconfidence. That's the beginning of the fall. He went inside, and the ocean started pulling him deep within. He tried to come out, he could not. He realized he's trapped. He raised his hand, and the devotees thought he's saying Hari Bol. And then we realized that something is wrong, sent the lifeguard inside. The lifeguard brought him out, took out the water from his stomach. And then I was standing there. I said, lifeguard has saved you. Give him some dakshina, some money, some bakshish. He took out 150 rupees and gave. I said, he saved your life. Give at least 500 rupees. He says, no, I have read in Radheshyam Prabhu's Discover Yourself book, body cost only 150 rupees. Then I asked him, in spite of warning, why did you go in? He said, I am such an expert swimmer. I have never experienced problem in water ever from the day one. I never imagined that the currents could pull me beyond my capacity and ability to swim. This was a new experience. And the data shows amongst people who drown in the world, majority who drown are expert swimmers. And those who don't know swimming, they usually never drown because they never enter. They don't qualify. Because to qualify, you have to enter. So many times, you go through certain experiences. You have your expertise and you think, this is my core competence and I can do this so well. I don't need to listen to any warning and this and that. That's where you start getting trapped. So therefore, if one starts thinking, oh, this is my home and this is this, I am the controller here, I am this, I am that. It's only a matter of time. Krishna will put you in a situation which will humble you. Therefore, the Pandavas' life story is extremely crucial. They had the privilege and the luxury of Krishna's constant association. They had the luxury of having the ability to question Krishna for every adversity and pray for their prosperity. But although they had that luxury of Krishna's privileged association 24/7, they never abused that privilege by ever asking Krishna why we are going through this adversity. Their only question was always, how can we serve you, Krishna, even in this adversity and use our prosperity in your service? That was the glory of the Pandavas. Jatra dharma suto raja gada panir brikodara krishnostri gandivam chapam suhurt krishnas tato vipat. Bhishma Dev is astonished by seeing the Pandavas. What a family! Yudhishthir is dharma personified, Bhima is power personified, Arjuna is skill personified, Nakul and Sahadev is loyalty personified, Krishna is well-wisher personified. It is the ideal family, but still they went through disaster after disaster, after calamity after calamity. But in the midst of all of that, they demonstrated the art of focus. Remain focused, not on increasing your prosperity or diminishing your adversity, but remain focused on how to serve and please Krishna. Fifth, Pashu means vehicle. Another source of attachment is vehicle. And in the previous yugas, they would calculate in terms of increasing the number of elephants and horses and things like that. And therefore, we should remember that whatever may be our opportunity we get, the vehicle should be used as an opportunity to increase my ability to serve Krishna. It is not something to show off, right? And I have gone through 4 car accidents and still surviving. So therefore, it is only an illusion to think that this is something very special. Because as soon as you are on the road, you are as close to death as possible at any moment. And so, Srila Prabhupada, when he established the Rath Yatras in ISKCON, and when people would go for permissions, they would say, because the police would ask, why do you need permission on this road and block the traffic for some time? That our God, like you drive a car, our God also goes on a car. The car in which he goes is called the Rath. But instead of having motored vehicle, we pull. So that is the Rath Yatra. You have a car, God has a great car. And he needs a special way in which he will be taken out. And therefore, even till today, the Rath Yatra in Puri is one of the greatest festivals where devotees assemble in large numbers. And just this Rath Yatra, almost 15 to 20 lakh pilgrims assembled to pull Jagannath, Baldev and Subhadra's Rath. The British were so obsessed with what is going on here. Without advertisement, how can 15 lakh people assemble at one place? There is no advertisement anywhere. People come and next day they go. And the British could not figure out what makes all of them come to pull these 3, one in black, one in yellow, one white. And they wrote so many articles denigrating, insulting, and trying to do all kinds of things to speak against that festival and try to stop it. But in spite of their best efforts, the British could not stop the Rath Yatra in Jagannath Puri. Instead, by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, Rath Yatra began in London. So if you go to Rath Yatra in Jagannath Puri, it's an experience to try to pull the rope, because every few seconds you will get thrown off by the crowd. You really have to be desperate to hold on. So I was feeling very discouraged one time that I'm not able to pull for a long period. Only 15 seconds, 20 seconds, and I get pushed off. So towards the end, at some point when we were pulling, we saw that we are able to pull for almost 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And we were in ecstasy that we are able to pull for a long time. Then we realized that the pandas had taken out the rope from the Rath. We were only running with the rope. But the entire festival is curated to make us realize we are simply servant. And the perfection of life is to facilitate them going in these vehicles. So that is Pashu. 6th is Dravina, wealth. Another item of meditation and calculation in enhanced prosperity is increase the wealth, minimize the poverty. And so Bhagavatam says, Arthasya sadhane siddhe utkarshe rakshane vyaye. Always in the course of earning wealth, increasing wealth, enhancing wealth, in different situations, trasah chinta matirninam, there will always be anxiety, difficulty, and challenges. And there is no end to those desires. So therefore, At one point, the Pandavas were super prosperous with such wealth, and as described in the Rajasuya Yagya, how much wealth Yudhishthir Maharaj had, seeing which Duryodhan became envious. So one president of a country in Southeast Asia, he accumulated so much of wealth that when they were deposed and the new president was brought in, they went and raided the house of the old president, and the wife had 7,000 pairs of shoes. So when this came out in the news, that time Radhanath Maharaj was giving a lecture in that period, and he referred to this, and he said, just now in the news it is reported that this lady had 7,000 pairs of shoes. They didn't know what to do with their wealth. 7,000 pairs of shoes, and Maharaj said, the only way you could wear it if she manifests a Virat Rupa. Otherwise, the best way you utilize the wealth is give a part of that to serve Krishna and humanity. Otherwise, this same wealth will become the cause of distress. So when wealth is utilized for the purpose of sharing the joy with others, it becomes artha. Artha means overall prosperity. And that is the sixth principle. That sometimes wealth may come, sometimes it may go, but remain focused. To know that I am simply a trustee of this wealth. And I am supposed to utilize this wealth for the service of the Supreme Lord. And then seventh is bandhushu. Bandhushu refers to social acceptance, social prestige. This is a very big factor because many people become extremely depressed just because they perceive social rejection. And so, in the 11th canto, when Avanti Brahman is insulted by his own society members, he is insulted, he is traumatized, criticized. It is such a pain. And it describes that pain to be like flaming arrows going through your heart. Anybody's criticism is painful, but the criticism of those who are near and dear is even more painful. So at that moment of pain, he actually expresses, Nayam jano me sukha dukkha hetu na devatatma griha karma kala manaparam karanamamananti sansara chakram parivartayetya. I don't think this person is responsible for my distress. I don't think the stars are responsible. I don't think time is responsible. My mind is only responsible. And therefore, rather than seeking constantly appreciation, rather than seeking acknowledgement, rather than seeking opportunities and expecting how people will serve me, you reverse your thought process and think of how I can appreciate and serve others. When you are focused on that, then you will not be affected by glorification or criticism. Prabhupada says both pride in success and moroseness in defeat is useless. Because behind both is Krishna's touch. And then eighth is Rajya, which is influence, area of influence, which is your career, business, etc. And when there is an infringement in your area of influence, area of control, a change in that, it affects you. Someone else starts doing what you have been doing. Someone else gets recognized for what you have been recognized. And things change. And therefore, I have visited ICUs and visited people who have had heart attacks. And the reason for heart attack? They say, I was expecting the promotion. Someone else who was junior to me was given the promotion. My responsibilities were taken by them. I could not handle it. Rajye. And therefore, again, if you look at the situation of the Pandavas, when they were given the kingdom, they ruled. When that was taken away, they surrendered. Vidura was the prime minister. One moment, Duryodhan criticizes, chastises, and throws him out. And then Vidura has nothing. And then Vidura simply leaves that bow and arrow and goes for a pilgrimage, accepting that no, that influence which was given to me as a prime minister was a privilege. Now, let me go around and get the privilege of the association of sadhus. And he hears from Maitreya Rishi. And therefore, this is a very important factor, that we should have control over our false ego. Aham kratibmakarasyat nakarat nishedaka tasmato namasa kshetri swatantrayam pratishidhyate. Namaha, when we say, it means not mine, it is yours. We offer. So therefore, the art of focus is to eliminate the unnecessary is a necessary step for contentment. Defeats can fossilize determined dreams into diamonds. Comparison plunders contentment, and reliability is the iron which attracts the magnet of trust. Expertise involves patience to avoid distractions and impatience to act soon. Discipline is the fusion of intention with action, and a leader is one who can reliably interpret an event based on authentic intention, actual wisdom, astute intelligence, and appropriate maturity. And the greatest danger in human life is not destruction of the body, but distraction of the mind. So, dear friends who have assembled here in great numbers with enthusiasm, the bottom line of today's message is this. The art of focus is remain focused on how I can be a sincere seeker and servant, trying to serve the will of the Supreme, trying to serve the entire human society in all circumstances of prosperity and adversity, and to remain focused in this consciousness. I cannot do that on my own. I need constant association of like-minded people. And therefore, the ABCD association, books, chanting, and diet is very crucial. And I congratulate all of you for taking out your valuable time this evening to come and hear from here, all of us, the message of the art of focus based on the principles of Bhagavad Gita. Thanks to all of you, and thanks to the IYS Mumbai Chowpatty for organizing this festival. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Gauranga Prabhu, for that incredible and inspirational talk. And you have taught us today 900 participants have assembled, and we have learned a very wonderful art of focus, that is conquering on the obstacles on the path of birth and death. Thank you, Prabhuji, for that wonderful talk. Let us express our gratitude to Prabhuji by loudly chanting, Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! So, organizing this event requires a lot of effort, and we would like to express our gratitude to those invisible heads and hands who has helped organizing this event today. So today, the team of Pradyumna Mishra Prabhu, Shrikant Krishna Prabhu from VGTI and Worli has helped organize this festival along with many IYS devotees and kitchen team who has prepared a very delicious prasadam for all of you. So let us express our gratitude to all of them in our traditional way by loudly chanting, Hari Bol. Hari Bol. So we'd like to express our gratitude to our guests today, those who have taken out their time and inspired us. So I'll just like to read their names. So would like to welcome Mr. Nirav Kohli. He's the person who has won 2 gold medals in Kettlebell World Championship, which was held in Greece. Nirav Kohli. We have also Mr. Sinde and his wife, his project manager, Sonal Mangaonkar, chartered accountant. Rohan Shinde, manager finance. Mukund Murari Prabhu, manager. Hari Gaur Prabhu along with his friends, students. Anjam Goyal, professor. Sakshi Gupta, medical student. Shankar Bhavdone, section engineer. Anjali Rachalkar, medical student. And Saili Shrivardhankar, business interiors. So let us welcome all these guests in our traditional way by loudly chanting, Hari Bol! So now, we'd like to welcome all the newcomers, those who have attended this Prerna festival for first time. हम उन सभी भक्तों का स्वागत करना चाहते हैं जो पहली बार आज इस प्रेरणा फेस्टिवल में आए हैं. हम उनसे अनुरोध करते हैं, we request you all to stand on your places so that we can welcome you all. Please. Wow. So, we'd like to welcome you all for this wonderful festival, and let this festival mark beginning of your spiritual life. Be connected with all your IYS counselors, whoever have invited you, your friends. You have been given a special coupon which will allow you to have your dinner prasadam in Bhakti Vedanta Hall, and that will also help you to get your free gift. Don't forget to receive your free gift from the counter which will be displayed in Bhakti Vedanta Hall. So let us welcome all these devotees in our traditional way by loudly chanting, Hari Bol! Hari Bol. Kindly be seated. Please बैठ जाइए. Please be seated. Please be seated. Program is not yet over. There will be ecstatic kirtan. There will be question answer session. Please be seated. So next announcement. The next Prerna festival we'll be going to have on 27th of August, Saturday. Please mark your dates. This will be given by His Grace Radhesham Prabhu. And the topic will be Carve Your Destiny. So be there. Also, as I was telling you all about Prabhuji's multifaceted personalities, and one of the facet is that he has written books. He has authored 2 books. One is Art of Resilience, and another one is Art of Focus. So both the books are available downstairs on discount today, so you can avail of this facility. After the program, after Kirtan, during Prasadam, we request all of you to assemble for a group photograph on the occasion of 20th year of Prerna Festival. And Gauranga Prabhu will be present, so we request all of you to be there. So now I open up this session for question and answers. So anyone who has question, please raise your hand and the mic will come to you. You have? Okay. So
Hare Krishna. Please, close the door. Close the door, please. Yes, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, it was a nice class. My question is, since few days I have developed a focus by which I am continuously finding faults in other people and sometimes in devotees. I feel that it is a not good habit to be carried on.
Yes.
So how do I uproot that habit?
Yeah, very, very beautiful question. That sometimes we get carried away by other people's bad qualities, faults, and we try to, start feeling superior, that I am better because I have this, and hey. So the scriptures explain that we only see in others what we have. So that means if we have a certain fault, we will see that reflected in others. So the way to overcome is you focus on seeing the good quality. And the ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada has been glorified by many of his followers as being a successful leader because of his ability to have the sixth vision out of the six types. What are the sixth vision? To see only bad. Second, to see little bad and expand it. Third, to see good and bad, select only bad. Fourth is to see good and bad, take the good. Then see only good. And last is to see little good and magnify it. So therefore, Prabhupada was successful as a leader because he had 5 qualities. He was humble, he was enthusiastic, he appreciated all devotees. So Shyamsundar Prabhu says, he came to Prabhupada and he was very discouraged because due to some reasons he had to go to the jail. Prabhupada said, don't worry, Krishna was born in jail. Rather than judging him, he said like that. And Prabhupada said, you chant, you'll be released in some time. He was released. Then Prabhupada gave him responsibility of establishing temple in London, in India. And Shyamsundar Prabhu was he was the one who actually organized the Cross Maidan program in 1971. And he was going around, in Kalbadevi market driving as part of his planning and organizing. And he was driving in India for the first time. He had no previous experience. So here you need little more than driving skills. You need some divine help also. So as he was driving, suddenly someone jumped in front of the car. He got hit, he fell on the ground. A crowd surrounded the vehicle. They were looking inside. He took up his bead bag and started chanting. He was afraid what the crowd will do. The crowd caught hold of the man who was hit and fell on the ground. They picked him up, started beating him. So Shyamsundar Prabhu got bewildered. Well, I made the mistake. Why are they beating him? Then he thought maybe in India they begin from there. Next will be me. Then after some time the crowd moved aside and said, go ahead. He said, but it was my mistake. Why did you beat him? They said, you are Krishna's devotee. How dare he disturb Krishna's devotee? So, because Prabhupada empowered him, he did not see his faults. Prabhupada saw what is his potential. And because of that, the Cross Maidan program, in that Cross Maidan program, two people connected amongst others. One was His Holiness Lokanath Swami Maharaj, other was His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. So, because of, and Prabhupada was standing at the steps of Bharati Vidya Bhavan and told Shyam Sundar Prabhu, pointing in this direction, in this lane, 7K Munshi Marg. In future, we should have an ISKCON temple in this lane. And that's how now we have Shri Shri Radha Gopinath ji standing here planning project here. So Prabhupada was humble, he was enthusiastic, he appreciated all. Fourth, he recognized excellence. He recognized and reciprocated with excellence. And fifth is he gave creative freedom. And it was not that while giving freedom, he was looking for somebody who's perfect. And then he would give them some freedom. You know, one disciple was putting stamps on envelope. And while putting stamps on the envelope, he was putting the stamp on his saliva. He was putting the saliva and then putting. So Prabhupada said, hey, what is this? This is unclean, this is dirty, this is not the way. You keep a bowl of water and use the water, not your saliva. So he brought a bowl of water, started doing. Prabhupada went. And then he kept on putting the stamps. After some time, the water got over. Only one stamp remained. He thought, the tap is in the other room. I have to get up, go, and just for one stamp. I have already done all the other stamps with water. One last stamp remains. Nobody's in the room. Prabhupada is also busy somewhere. So I have my old technique. So he looked left, he looked right, took out his tongue and placed the stamp. The door opened and Prabhupada was standing there. And he said, I told you not to do this. So Prabhupada said, sometimes you have to shed millions of gallons of blood before you can see transformation. So we should not expect perfectly healthy people to be in hospital. In hospital, you only have patients who are diseased. They are struggling with their disease. So when people come to a temple or a satsang, they are patients getting admitted in the spiritual hospital to get transformed from all of their internal diseases of greed, pride, lust, envy, anger. So we have to deal with them with sensitivity. If a patient vomits in a hospital, the doctor doesn't slap him. The ganda kar diya. The doctor deals with sensitivity. Doctor knows he's sick. So we have to deal with each other accordingly. But we should have the conviction that instead of someone bleeding on the road, at least they have come to the hospital. They have admitted in the right place. The treatment has begun. It is only a matter of time before the transformation will happen. So therefore, each one of you who's sitting here, you begin the process of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, start following the regulative principles of no meeting, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex. Start performing some meaningful service and start sharing this message with others. Within 1 year's time, your whole personality and your character and your internal experience will transform to such an extent that you will not recognize who you were 1 year before, that is today. And you will be situated on the path to saintliness and godliness. This is guaranteed. Next question?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Please give the mic there.
Whoever has the mic.
Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for such a wonderful session. Prabhuji, my question was, despite of all the knowledge, it's my practical experience. In difficult situation, we forget all that knowledge and act in a bad way. So how to remember that knowledge we have cultivated from devotees to act in that only way that devotees have taught us in difficult situation?
Unless the difficulties are there, how will you improve? Right? So, when such difficult situations come, you should remember the devotees who have taught you this and experience that gratitude. So, that's a very important principle, that if I try to deviate, then that deviation will only put you in more anxiety. So, therefore, it is always good to have friends with whom you can share your heart. So, it is said, what are the chances for a speck of dust? When the speck of dust comes in contact with water, that speck of dust becomes mud. When that speck of dust comes in contact with air, the gust of air can pick up that small speck of dust, and that dust can sit on the crown of Krishna's forehead. But is it the qualification of the speck of dust? It is the association. Similarly, what are the chances for a small insect to come and kiss Krishna's chest? But when that insect takes shelter of a flower, that flower is plucked by the gardener, made into a garland by the pujari, and when the garland is offered to Krishna, from inside that flower, the insect will come and touch Krishna's chest. Insect has no power, but it is the power of association. So therefore, you are surrounded by strong, positive, and powerful association. Take advantage of that association. Transform your life and know that it is only a matter of time before you will be able to overcome all of your other bad habits and anarthas and be an embodiment of full self-control, where you will be able to share with other youth your own experiences of struggle. Because if you don't go through struggle, you will not be able to appreciate others' struggle. So Krishna is also putting you in some struggle to let you know you're not the controller, you're not the doer. You need to depend on the Lord and pray to the Lord. And sometimes Krishna reveals that you are not the doer by making you slip. That slip keeps you humble. But don't go on slipping forever. Bhumau skhalita padanam bhumireva valambanam tvai jata paradhanam tvameva sharanam Prabhu. When you slip on the ground, how do you get up? You take shelter of the same ground to get up. So similarly, while practicing the process, if you slip, how do you get up? Follow the process more diligently, not abandon the process. So I'm sure by following this, very soon, you will be giving seminars on how to transform your life and make your life successful.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So one last question here.
That is on.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. If I have a devotee friend who is, because of exposure to college life and peer pressure and whatever, if I know that that person is indulging into intoxication or smoking or maybe gambling or whatever, so what should I do? How do I confront him, or how do I try to get him out of that situation and back into bhakti?
Well, we had one devotee, Sarabhom Prabhu, who would say to his friend who was smoking, Oh, you are smoking. There are 3 advantages of smoking. Did you know that? His friend said, what? 3 advantages of smoking. Everybody always keeps telling me, quit smoking, quit smoking. He says, no, there are 3 advantages. He says, one who smokes, thieves will never come to the house. Second advantage, dog will never bite him. Third, he will never become old. I said, wow, I never knew. I would have smoked more. He says, now I'll tell you what it means. By smoking, your lungs will be filled with cough. All night when you are coughing, thief will never come near the house. Then you become diseased and you start walking with a stick. When you walk with a stick, dog will never come near to bite. And you will never grow old because you will die young. So therefore, this is what will be the effect of smoking and intoxication. So therefore, if your words do not help, then you have to give association and you have to give prasadam. The power of prasadam is tremendous. Through the prasadam, ahara shuddhau, sattva shuddhi, dhruva smriti smriti lamme sarvagrantinam vipramoksha. So the person, why he is indulging in intoxication? Because they are looking for some pleasure. Right now they are stuck at sensual pleasure. We have to help them get higher pleasure. And the higher pleasure is when you get the association of devotees and start the process. Harirasa madira madati matta. When I was giving Gita to somebody, he said, what is this book about? The person was totally drunk. What is this book about? I said, it is speaking about the difference between matter and spirit. He immediately looked towards his bottle and he said, I am only interested in this spirit. So he was kind of totally confident about what he was wanting. So yes, a person in a state of intoxication needs help. But that help you can provide by giving them prasad, giving them association, and gradually over a period of time, they may get transformed. So therefore, when Srila Prabhupada spread the movement all over the world, this was something which was very common. It was like a young person just like the one you are describing. He came to Vrindavan as a hippie, met Srila Prabhupada and said, Srila Prabhupada, if somebody eats meat in Vrindavan, what will happen to them in next life? Prabhupada said he will become a pig in the next life. So then this hippie said, Srila Prabhupada, if that person indulges in illicit sex in Vrindavan, what will happen? Prabhupada said he will become a pigeon or a dog in the next life. Then the hippie said, Srila Prabhupada, if a person sits on the bank of Jamuna and smokes ganja, what will happen to him in next life? Prabhupada said he'll become a hippie in California. And Prabhupada said, you're sitting here, in Vrindavan, contemplating about all of that. So what is the point? So therefore, fix the mind in Krishna. And as I said, discipline is the fusion of intention with action. So this association of devotees has a very powerful responsibility to first of all become strong ourselves. When you are strong yourselves, disciplined yourself, you are able to sleep when you want, wake up when you want, eat only what you want, drink only what you want. You have control over your mind and your senses. Then you are yourself a person who is walking and radiating influence. You don't even have to speak because your presence sends the message loud and clear. So therefore, focus on your self-transformation, and automatically the transformation of humanity is guaranteed. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. So before we take part in the kirtan, there is one announcement. As on this occasion of 20th year of Prerna, we have arranged a selfie point downstairs in Bhaktivedanta Porch. So when you are taking those selfies and those photographs, and when you are going to post on your social media account, please use these hashtags, which are like at the rate IYS Mumbai, hashtag IYS Mumbai, at the rate ISKCON_Chopati. So please use this hashtag and promote this Prerna festival for wide range of people. So I request all of you to stand and take part in the kirtan. And also another request, please dance in a circle. Many circles can be formed and we can dance together.
Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Circles, circles, make circles, please. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. सब बोलिए प्रभु नित्यानंद। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। मेक सर्कल्स, सर्कल बनाइए ना। गौर विलास जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद